Alright, Rockers, Turbo, back with you here inside the Asylum. And joining me now is a very good friend of mine. You know him as one of the hosts of That Metal Show, as the host of Beer Money, as a book writer, and his day job, a comedian. None other than my good friend Don Jamieson, right now by phone here inside the Asylum. Don, how are ya?
I'm doing good, man. Yes, I've done so many TV shows that are no longer on the air anymore, but I appreciate that people still remember them.
Yeah, some of them are still in reruns or on people's DVRs, so I'm quite sure they still get their daily dose of Don in one way or another.
Yeah, and look, it's if that metal show never comes back again, obviously we had such a great run of 14 seasons, and as I would expect from the hard rock and metalhead community out there, still so supportive of all the things that I do, and of course Eddie and Jim, because we're all still doing our own thing too, and hope to get back together and do stuff again in the future. But for right now, yeah, it's just been great, man. It's what a wonderful community we're a part of, my friend.
Can't argue with that. And speaking of that community, great to see you a week or two ago down at the Stone Pony. That was some show for Art of Anarchy, man, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it's that's another thing. It's like I get supported by so many people, but people like you and I, we're out also supporting, and so when a friend like Bumblefoot or John Moyer from Disturbed, who are doing this new band Art of Anarchy, who are very, very good, they say, hey, we're coming to Jersey, and I live right up the street from the Stone Pony, so I said, well, I got to get down there and get in the crowd and support those guys too, man. It's it doesn't matter if you're in Disturbed playing for 20,000 people every night. When you're in a new band, and you got the singer from Creed, Scott Stapp, in there, who was very, very successful, and you got Ron Fowle, Bumblefoot, who played in Guns N' Roses in front of arenas full of people. But when you do a new band, you are a new band. All your credentials are erased, and you are a brand new band. And so it was important for us to get down there and show support that night. And they actually had a real nice crowd, and it was a fun show.
Yeah, it was definitely a great crowd down there, considering the night of the week, and the weather really wasn't on anyone's favor, but it was a nice crowd. And I mean, you bring up a great point. I mean, here are three guys in a band, and the album is an amazing album. I don't know if you've had the chance to listen to it yet. And these guys all around the world, they can pack an arena or a football stadium and put a new band together, and they're back to a 200 to 300 club. And who knows, maybe 5 years from now Art of Anarchy will be playing stadiums, and you and I will go, we were there at the Pony.
Yeah, well, exactly. And yes, I do have their album, and I like it very much. I've had it for a few months, so I've had some time to live with it. And I was very happy that they just played their stuff, which was cool, because they could have done a Gun song, they could have done a Creed song, they could have done from any number of their bands, they could have done tunes, but they kept it to this new band, which makes me think like, yeah, they take this seriously, man. They really want to do something with this. And you know Bumblefoot pretty well, like I do. I mean, he's just a great guy that you always want to support. And it's funny with him too, man. He's not only is he a great guitar player, he's actually a great singer too.
Yeah, people really miss out on that. I mean, I try to play as much as I can from his solo albums where he does sing, and for people to get a better idea, because I mean, Bumble really is like a definitive do-it-all guy. He can sing, he can play guitar, he can produce. I don't think there's anything musically that he can't do.
Yeah, well, he kind of pisses me off. He's talented in so many ways, and I'm only a comedian, so he's kind of all around great at just about anything he does. So it's wonderful to have such a creative and proficient friend. He really is. He's sort of a mad scientist in a lot of ways.
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, last I saw, we got to really talk with him. I keep busting his balls, and I go, "Are you in competition with Mike Portnoy to see who could do the most in music?"
Yeah. Yeah, they're both vying for most side project award 2017. So, but you know what? All the stuff those guys do is good. So God bless them. If they have the time and they can get it done. And Bumblefoot likes to bring his wife out on the road with him. So he keeps his family with him. And Mike's kid is now in a great band called Next to None. His son Max, who's a fantastic drummer too. So Mike's keeping it all in the family. So it's kind of nice, man. These guys are out doing different things, and Portnoy's always the master of that. So another good dude in the business doing good stuff.
Yeah, it's nice to see Max Portnoy. I met him last year. He was part of the Rock Against Sisterfee All Stars last year, and I played Next to None, and it's kind of really reassuring to see that the next generation is as into it as the previous generations. I mean, Max even did work on the demo of a band called Uncured. So Max is even kind of following his dad and doing, that more than one band fill in when needed type of deal.
Yeah, well, look, I'll leave it. I think Max is even a better drummer than his dad. So take that, Mike Portnoy.
Fighting words, fighting words.
Well, no, he actually is a terrific drummer, and there's no doubt because he has one of the best teachers in the world. So I'm very, very happy for them. And those guys stand on their own, not just because he's Mike's son, but that band really is terrific, and they're young and hungry guys. Playing in a grown-up world, and they really hold their own. So, looking forward to the second album from those guys.
Yeah, I know they're working on finishing it up. I know before they went over to Europe, they were putting the finishing touches on that, and I'm as anxious as you are to hear some new Next to None. But more importantly, one of the other reasons you are joining me here inside the Asylum, not just to talk great rock and metal and bust each other's balls, but you, my friend, have a new comedy album coming out this Friday, the 21st of April, on Metal Blade Records, called Communication Breakdown. And really the first thing I'm going to ask is, of your comedy albums of recent years, this is the first one where you're not playing with the name of a title, where previously you had Live and Hilarious and Hellbent for Laughter. This is, as is Led Zeppelin, Communication Breakdown. What made you decide to go with just the simple title?
Well, no, I think, first of all, I have to say I want to thank Metal Blade for, sticking with me and putting out my comedy albums. I'm sure I'm a tax write-off to them because they have so many great bands that sell tons of records, but they are cool enough to put out my comedy CDs and really back and support what I do. So I'm real appreciative of that. But as far as the title, yeah, man, it's still a nod to Zeppelin, keep the Communication Breakdown, the song from their first album. But the main idea was all revolved around the artwork, or the photo, the cover photo, if you will, because I'm an old school guy. I'm 50 years old, So I'm still in that headspace of when you went out and bought the physical copy of the album, whether it was a cassette or a piece of vinyl or of course CDs later. But I always loved the packaging, and so with the packaging, I wanted to do was I had my nieces and my nephew. They saw a picture of me from my college yearbook where I sort of have this feathered, mullety kind of, Bon Jovi, She's a Little Runaway kind of dealio going on, hairstyle. And they thought the picture was so funny, and they texted it to me, and they were laughing at me on the text. And I looked at the picture, I go, God, that is pretty that is a pretty funny look. And I immediately noticed that, my major in college was communication, and it just came to me immediately like, okay, communication breakdown, a nod to Zeppelin, but also something you would never want to happen in a comedy situation. That's the last thing you want is a communication breakdown, because obviously we depend on the crowd laughing, and when that goes away, then the jokes aren't quite as funny. But yeah, so that's how the title kind of came about. We were just talking, actually, I was just on with Eddie Trunk, and we were talking to Jack Blades from Night Ranger, such a great dude, and I was thinking, I told him my next album is going to be based on a Night Ranger song. I'm going to call it "You Could Still Joke in America." So nice. I'm already thinking of CD number 4.
Nice, and that's a title that I actually hope can happen, because I have the album. I gave it a good listen. You'll be glad to know that I did not do it while eating, so I didn't choke like I did the last time. And this one part of the album where you briefly touch on political correctness, and you talk about rock and metal. We don't call Black Sabbath African American Sabbath, and I cracked up to it, and at the same time I'm going, well, Don Rickles just died, and he was a comedian that threw political correctness out the window, and you're not totally wrong in that politically correctness is almost out of comedy, or taking comedy out of its own realm, because everyone's afraid of offending somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's, I wanted to put it in the context of the rock bands that I love, and that, we all love, the people who listen to your show. We love these bands. Like you said, this Black Sabbath's not African American Sabbath, and Whitesnake's not Caucasian Snake, and AC/DC's not, bisexual Australians. And I wanted to make the point, with humor that, yes, this is the world we live in, but let's not forget it's okay to get out and laugh once in a while. And I think it's an important part of the record, because it kind of lets people off the hook. They kind of go, okay, I get it now. Now we can just relax and enjoy it and let Don do what he does. And, people who come to see me know, I always have a certain edge to what I do. Obviously I'm not out trying to offend anybody, but, when you can kind of break the ice like that and address the 800-pound gorilla in the room and sort of get out of the way, then everybody sort of goes, oh, okay, now we can take a deep breath and just laugh.
Exactly. I mean, not to say that comedy has to offend people, but I mean, when you really think back to many of the great comedians over the years, even with yourself and Jim Brewer and Jim Florentine, there's always that topic, even with Corwin and Rickles and Richard Pryor, of that something was always that one topic that you waited to see how the room reacted before you continued to see if you pissed somebody off. And
right, but the thing is now too, it's like, you also have to keep up with the times. So that's an important part of it too. Like, you can be stubborn and say, well, I'm not changing, this is who I am, but it's the way people hear things now is different. So for me, part of doing this new album was, trying to learn different ways to say the same thing, but be a little more creative about it. So that's a part of the whole thing too. Is like, all right, I could still be edgy, I could still get away with things that a lot of other comics can't, but how can I do it in a more clever way? How can I do it, as a 50-year-old guy, who loved Richard Pryor and Don Rickles and Carlin and all the guys who just broke down all these barriers over the years. But how do I do it in the year 2017? So for me, it was sort of like addressing it, making it, putting it in an absurd context, and so that everybody kind of gets it and goes, yeah, all right, we got it. We're with you on this, and and then on top of that, I do a little more storytelling on this album, which was a real challenge for me. So I'm pretty proud of that as well.
Yeah, I absolutely love the one single, we'll call it a single for the case of technical terms, Kiefer, that led into the album being released, where you say he was so far inebriated that he was harder to understand than me in a loud club.
Well, I didn't exactly reference you, but I.
Well, in that form.
I like how you incorporated yourself into my bit, and somehow when you do my bits, they're actually funnier than when I do them. But that was a real life story about a crazy night with the actor Kiefer Sutherland, and I don't like to give away the punchline, but let's just say Jack Bauer gave me a hickey, and we'll leave it at that.
There aren't many people that can lay claim to that one. I can guarantee that.
Yeah, well, I wasn't expecting it, that's for sure, but it's such a personal story that I was like, God, I really got to figure out how to make this work on the stage, and it took a while. It's storytelling is definitely a different sort of way to go about it. I like to tell a lot of jokes at the hour I'm on stage or whatever it is, and to actually just slow down and actually tell a longer story, a 6 or 7 minute story, is kind of terrifying, man.
Yeah, no, I guess it, because you don't know whether others will connect with it. Is kind of what's in the back of your head.
Yeah, and you know what? And it's funny to hear your jokes said back to you by somebody, because you kind of hear it with a fresh voice. But part of doing the stories too is like that I want things to be as personal as possible in my act. Yeah, sure. Is there jokes about sex on there? Yes, of course. Is there jokes about masturbating? Sure, a handful. But I really want the album I really want some of the stories to resonate with people, because the stories that nobody else could tell. No one else is going to have, no other comic's going to have a story about Kiefer Sutherland, being physical with him in a bar, or meeting, Eddie and Jim and I, my co-host for that metal show, trying to meet Johnny Depp and acting like 13-year-old girls at a One Direction concert. And
let me tell you what, you're not the only one. I went last summer for Hollywood Vampires. They played a new venue here in Brooklyn, and one of the reasons I went wasn't Alice Cooper, wasn't Joe Perry. It was because Johnny Depp was actually on tour with the band. I paid $124 a ticket to sit as close as my crippled butt could get to the stage, all because I'm a big time Johnny Depp fan, and him being in a rock and metal band just made it that much better.
Yeah, well, I hope your attempts at meeting him weren't as pathetic as Jim and Eddie and I, but I at least have somewhere to, I get to put it on a comedy album, but I don't know what your experience was. But when we finally did meet him, it was actually really cool, and he was a super nice guy.
I got nowhere near him. I didn't know where the hell the buses could have been to try to meet him, but I'll put it to you this way. I'm such a fanboy. I bought the $90 cologne that he advertises on TV.
Wow, you are hardcore, man. I didn't even know he had a cologne, but even as a man who's fully heterosexual, I gotta say, meeting the guy in person, I was like, yeah, I get it. I see why women are sliding off of chairs everywhere just hearing his name. Definitely he's definitely a freak of nature in so many ways, but like I said, super cool, and he knew of that metal show, because he's friends with Manson, and actually Marilyn Manson tried to bring him with him to that metal show the last time he came on, but Johnny couldn't come. But yeah, apparently he's the real deal on guitar, so good for him, man. Perfect looking man, great actor, and he can play guitar. Damn it.
Yes, another one. Johnny Depp and Bumblefoot. They both got you beat.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with those two guys.
Can't
take it anymore.
Well, I tell you what, women may get to be sliding off their chairs for Johnny Depp, but your new album, Communication Breakdown, will have people laughing off their chairs. Another great album by you, my good friends, and I hope the record-breaking sales for you guys, for you on it, and if not, hey, at least you're a charity case for Metal Blade Records.
Yeah, that's what if I think of myself as a tax write-off, I don't feel bad if I don't sell thousands and thousands of records, but I've been lucky. The last two have made the top 10 on Billboard and the iTunes comedy chart, so that's beyond a dream come true. But I'd love to, if people wanna, if they're thinking of ordering it, try to order it this week. You can pre-order it now, and that goes towards the first week, towards getting me on the charts. So if you could help me out with that, that would be great. And otherwise, yeah, I hope people enjoy it. Even if you download a track here, a track there, that's the modern age. That's how people are doing it now. But like I said, I'm old school, man. I love the packaging of the album and all the photos and stuff. So I definitely recommend that as well. And you could link through my website to get the album, donjamieson.com, or obviously you could go to iTunes and download it.
There you go. It's the best way to do it. Don, I'm like you. I'm old school. I've got no room left for CDs, yet I still buy them, and I'm assuming it'll just be a bed and CDs. That's all I'll have.
Well, I always make the joke when I perform live, if there's Mellow Show fans in the audience, I go, you guys watched it long enough for me to buy a house, but not long enough that I could afford it anymore. But now I need a house just to contain all my vinyl that I've been collecting again for the last 5 or 6 years. So if not for some place to live, I gotta have somewhere to store my vinyl.
Exactly. I like to carry that vinyl, and everybody, do what's right. Go out there, take care of the people you love. Go get my new friend. Go get the new album, Communication Breakdown, from my bud, Don Jamieson, as I have a communication breakdown, getting tongue-tied, trying to spit that out. See, Don, your album already rubbing off.
Well, see, you're very excited. It's a big day today. The album's coming out this week, and I appreciate your excitement and as always your support. What you do is super important, obviously, for the scene, and you conduct your show a lot like the way we did that metal show. You wear it on your sleeve if you love it, but you're also honest. If you don't dig something, that's okay, but there's no negativity. The scene doesn't need that. We don't need to feed into any kind of drama or any of that stuff, but we all have our preferences. I might not be someone's favorite comic, but so look, some people don't even know I'm a comedian. They go, I didn't know the guy from the metal show is a comedian, and so which is actually a compliment. It's nice to be doing comedy 20 years and still have people finding out who you are. It's good to make new fans after 20 years.
Absolutely. I know there'll be 20 more years of it still to come. Don, I know you're busy. I thank you, as always, for coming on to talk about your new album. And as always, I gotta have you pick out some music for everyone to hear as we continue on with the Asylum.
Great, because that's another sort of tie-in with the record, which is for our great rock fans out there. I talk about a lot of bands. So if you want to play any of the bands that I mentioned on the album, there's tons of them. Obviously, Dave Mustaine does the opening riff to the album, so you might want to play a little Megadeth in there, and I talk about the Scorpions and Kiss and Def Leppard and Lita Ford and AC/DC and so many other bands. So you take your pick, but yeah, maybe a Megadeth would be good to go out on.
All right, let's do this. Megadeth is going out with the Scorpions later this year. So right now we'll give you a little Megadeth and a little Scorpions right now. I'll give you the title track of the new Megadeth album, Dystopia, right now. And don't forget, go buy Don Jamieson's Communication Breakdown on Metal Blade Records. Stay with us, more to come here inside the Asylum.